Incoming message.
It's better than the iPhone neck, you know? Because sometimes, that's a real thing too. Sometimes people, if you're looking down most of the time, you know you've seen people have that extra...
A little dinosaur hitch. What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
Speaking of Lil Rocky, man, I got a little situation that I got to air out. I got to let you know that I started off today almost not making it to the pod, man. I'm going to be honest with you. Kyle, you ever catch a cramp in the middle of a superset for muscle groups that you're not working out directly?
We talking in or outside the gym? Because there's been...
Pause. I'm talking strictly in the gym right now.
Okay. I was about to say, because I'm outside of the gym.
We're going to stay with that one part for right now.
We'll revisit that later. Fans will note the Charlie Horse episode.
Yes.
And the lineage on that. But inside the gym, of course. Yes.
Talk to me about it.
I mean, a lot of the times it depends on what your night was like that before. I can say that, you know, I had some flashing light kind of nights, you know, and went into the gym the next day trying to achieve a little more than my body was ready for.
And that's exactly what happened to me, bro.
Okay.
It was almost that life of the party to think I could have almost died.
That part right there. Speak on your trauma. How did you almost unalive yourself?
I'm rocking out some single leg work like I talked about before in the previous episode, trying to build back up.
With some shorts on?
Connect. You know, don't judge my gym fit.
I was trying to paint the scene. You know?
I don't need you to paint that vividly. You stay in your lines, Mr. Artist, all right? When it's time for you to paint your picture,
my bad.
You stay on your side.
Yeah, socks on? There's no socks? What you was doing?
You know what? I was doing my single leg squat. I'm going to go back to that side, right? That's the primary focus. I don't like where you're taking us. I'm doing my single leg squat, and I'm supersetting that with a front squat. Now, Kyle, I get down to my last set, bro. I'm really pushing it. My front squat game, I get down to the bottom end of my front squat, and I get the wildest stomach cramp I ever got in life.
Oof.
I'm talking about fold forward, like just straight up stomach, abs locked all together. Totally.
Like, you had a barbell?
No, I was holding 2 kettlebells in the front rack.
Oh, you had to drop them.
Had to. Yeah. And then couldn't stand up all the way because my stomach was so tight. Yo, if there's footage anywhere of this, I know I look crazy walking outside.
Nigga body was just breaking down.
I'm glad that I wasn't in the commercial gym. I was in somebody else's home gym because that shit would have looked crazy if I was anywhere else. Bro, I'm telling you right now.
I think you just got to the root of the problem right there.
The lock in, though. I'm in the bottom end. Everything shuts down, can't stand up all the way, and I'm crawling to get out. I had to hold my stomach. I looked like I was about to call Earl. I had the Bambi legs going on at the same time. There was all kind of wildness happening, bro.
That sounds traumatic.
It was.
Now, again, I'm going to get to the real root of the problem. The root of the problem was you was in a non-usual gym.
Absolutely.
So you was pulling stunts. You was acting out of character. There
wasn't nobody in there. I was by myself.
Which is why you was acting out of character in there, because you was in a new environment. And that's when, you know, peacocks tend to peacock. You know what I'm saying?
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength. We're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course with me I have a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that 2-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available.
Yay.
Now, Brother Jones.
I see you got your step back.
You know it.
You know what I'm saying? You was in the gym.
I was.
Getting them reps up.
I couldn't get out the gym, but I was in the gym. And I'm going to come right back to the top end of the story. Now, have you ever caught a cramp during a non-exercise related activity outside of the gym?
Of course.
Let's break that story out.
You know, when fellas out there may or may not know this, but when you out there and, you know, you laying the dick, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You slanging that shit. Sometimes when you get to them back shots, you know, that hamstring, ooh, man.
You got to space out your hamstring work, heavy hamstring work, and heavy in the bedroom work can't happen on consecutive days.
The deep lizard, you know what I'm saying?
You
ever
gonna
had
a lot of problems.
foot on the head, like just leg, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you need to stretch it out. But yeah, it depends on your level.
Like, you finished already? Nah, I'm in bad pain.
Yeah,
the
for
same
sure.
cramp.
Listen,
crawl out
man.
of the bedroom.
It's a Charlie horse has been an early dismissal cause for a lot of brothers out there, man.
You catching a Charlie horse is still being like prime time for action is a crazy
I
look.
personally fight through the pain, but that's just me.
How was your week?
I can't say or speak for anyone else other than myself. But you know, everybody's built differently.
It's a wild visual.
My week was great though. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about it.
You know, you started spicy. I was just relaying the information that you asked. But aside from that, man, the week was very it was down and up. You know, it was a moment where I actually had to take time and step back and reflect. Faithful listeners of the show will be hearing me talk about goddamn jury duty, Tone.
Okay.
3 weeks in a row. Every time we got to continue to talk about it.
You was in the trial of the century.
I was in, fam, it was the most boringest white collar crime there ever was. A bunch of PDF documents, like, I don't care about it. But what I do care about is how it impacted me from a wellness perspective of like, you're sitting, you know, they order you lunch. And when you get lunch ordered from these places that they order from, fam, you can get the salad, but that's like the iceberg lettuce. You feel me? Like, it ain't a real. Those salads aren't made from someone who likes salad. It's like, oh, this is the leftover from the sandwiches. We'll throw it together and make
we're going to chop this down.
Yeah.
Anytime you see the back end of the lettuce in your salad, you know they don't care about your life.
Like, I want some arugula, fam. I want some spinach, maybe even kale.
You get the top of the tomato and the back end of the iceberg.
You get the ass of it all, Tone, is what I'm getting at. So you don't really want to order the salad, so you end up ordering something. Like, I went with a gyro 1 week, but it was one of those things where, like, it completely threw me off of my routine.
Damn.
And it allowed me to then go back to not only revisit how, why, but all right, I need to put some more stuff in place to combat this stuff that I can't control.
Okay, man. Hey, listen, bro, I'm happy that you are free from that situation. And again,
freedom.
I have to point out the fact,
man,
that you was on the right side of the courtroom the whole time.
We only one bad decision away from being
on
with
the
our
opposite
brothers and sisters behind bars.
You know, so I just got to champion you for that, my man. This week from me, Kyle, I think it started off on a pretty good foot, man. You know, I got to think back to Sunday being the top end of the week. And I think we had a pretty damn good Sunday to start it off, man. So
I would agree to that.
We, you know, when the weather was a little nicer in New York, we had a great little sneak peek of spring.
At least the sun was out.
It was sunny. It was not, you know, too cold. It was like a pretty solid riding day. So we had a good ride through Brooklyn, made our way over into Williamsburg, caught up with some people. Now, we made a stop, caught up with Jamila and Ali over at Brooklyn Tea. I got to salute them and shout out to Jamila and Ali, specifically at Brooklyn Tea. There's some great folks that, you know, keep Bed-Stuy hydrated with that good herbal energy. So always got to salute to them.
They be holding down the corner.
You know, making their presence known. And the faithful listeners will also know one of our live shows that we did at Lululemon, they was also there early on. That's when Kyle got into the boozy bunch of teas over there. So had to salute them.
They had a little rum punch kind of tea. It was there.
You be asking for it just on the regular. Like, they should always have it on them.
I thought that's what it was.
He's just looking for it all the time. So we got to make sure we pull back out of that, man. I also got jammed up supporting black business in that same situation, but I'm not going to go into that detail. We're just going to skirt past that. But just consistently, Kyle, just understand that I'm always on the side of supporting others.
Yes.
It's just that we sometimes be doing some tomfoolery to get the sale. And now I'm going to slide right past that.
I'm not going to comment.
And I'm going to go to our second spot. I got to shout out to good brother Matthew and the brother Andrew over at JuneShine, man. When we pulled up over there, it was nothing but love. Those are always the homies. And yeah, I think that was a hell of a way to start off the week. What was your thoughts on that side?
I would also agree to that. Shout out to Brooklyn Tea. Shout out to JuneShine. Actually, both hydration partners, potentially. You know what I mean?
You know?
Let's make that happen. But aside from that, man, being able to just navigate on a Sunday through Brooklyn on a bike is always going to be a plus for me.
We kind of do it to the beat of our own drum, Kyle.
That too.
And with that being said, I wanted to focus on, you know, that whole rhythm that we kind of move with and the just environment that we create over there. And Kyle, I wanted to get into how those rhythms kind of come about. So on this week's Ask the Professionals, I wanted to ask you, what's the DNA of a good class playlist, man? Because marching to the beat of your own drum is quite often something that you do without even much thought, man. So could you break that out for the faithful listeners of the show and anybody who is trying to construct, the proper vibe for their classes out there?
Man. All right, here's the deep science. The deep science is the playlist that I make weekly, at least for me, come from the sounds of my week. If you think about your day-to-day, your interactions, your movements, whatever you do, there's always music in the background, and that's going to be the soundtrack. Or better yet, the frequency of which you live your life, because that speaks to the spaces you go into.
Okay.
So if I'm in, if I'm in a coffee shop in the morning getting my, my
sweet treats?
My sweet treat, if you will, to start the day off. Sometimes you might hear something in the background of the coffee shop.
I bet you do.
Let me put a little Shazam on real quick, grab that, bet. Oh, I'm riding down the block and somebody blaring some Jadakiss hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I forgot about that track. Like, all of those songs in particular start to make their way into cultivating what this playlist is going to look like at the end of the week. They all just kind of culminate into one. And from there, it's about the transition. It's about the mood. It's about putting it together. And I feel as though the classes that I teach, man, is curated from start to finish. So, of course, the music will have to reflect that, from high points to low points to points when you need, some hard hip-hop, and then there's other points where you might need a softer landing.
So putting together a good playlist is kind of like putting together a good story, you would say.
It's like putting together an outfit, a story.
Okay.
Preparing a good meal. Anything where you take steps and there's precautions that, all right, I thought about this. This is intentional. This is a premeditated idea. That's how the playlist comes about. It can't be something that's real whimsical. Oh, I'm just going to put all these songs together back to one, because then that's how you fuck it up.
Are you playing for yourself or are you playing for the room?
I'm playing for myself, honestly.
All right.
And it's different in that way because you have to be selfish like that in order to bring people into your vibe. If I was to play to the room, then I'm going to end up with too many chefs in the kitchen. And that's when you get the what was that? The jungle juice of a beverage. You know what I'm saying? It's just
damn near anything could be in there.
There's 99 bananas, but it's vodka, but it's whiskey. Like, fam, you can't put all of that in together. I'm too old to be drinking jungle juice.
All right, man. So there you have it. To make a good playlist, you got to know who you are. You got to know what story you want to tell. And you got to know what kind of journey you want to take people on. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
All right. And if they wanted to touch down on such a playlist, where could they find kind of, that vibe that KR Jones is curating?
Man, you go to Spotify, type in KR Jones, the playlist is there. If you're feeling freaky, you can go to Patreon, go to Organic Thugs, man. Go ahead and throw your $2 up, man. Show your love.
Hell yeah. All right, my man. See, I just wanted to stretch that out so people understand how to follow, the mind of a young Jones.
Of course.
And just like that, we're going to stretch out some stories that are a little bit good. We're going to stretch out some bad. And Kyle, there's going to be some questionable, damn near ugly stories this week. It's time for Rip from the Headlines, my man. And Kyle, we talked about this company before previously on the show. Gymshark, the UK company making a big splash coming over into the States. The first thing that I want to talk about with Gymshark, Kyle,
They're making a big splash?
They're making a big splash. They're making some waves, bro.
Sharks don't even splash, fam. They not whales. They
you
don't
never seen
come
a shark
up and pop down.
You never seen.
They attack. They don't do none of that.
You don't watch Shark Week because they be coming out.
Week. You know what the black equivalent of Shark Week is?
No,
it's Rockwaller Week. You didn't even know that.
We stepping out of that. you stay in your own lane. You mute his mic. We're not having no more of that. The Sharks were making waves this week, Kyle. I saw the second episode of HIIT IT OFF, and that's HIIT Now, Kyle, if I say HIIT IT OFF, what comes to mind for you?
Not sharks.
As a man who is a connoisseur of dating shows, as you have laid out for us before,
yeah,
this is now the first dating show that's taking place inside the gym, Kyle. Host GK Barry and Young Philly, which I don't know where he got Philly from, but we're going to come back to that, are bringing you the first ever dating show that is taking place in the actual gym. Kyle, I want to see your live reaction to the second episode because this is where they started to turn stuff up. And then I want to just hear how you feel about this type of programming coming out into the world.
Nah, fam. Already, I don't need to see any more. Only because I just seen a dude that was butt ass. There's never a need for you to get butt ass on camera, bro. And I see what they're trying to serve. You have the young lady who's racially ambiguous with the guy who's really in shape, the slim type. You know the type, you know what I'm saying? A lean muscle dude. We always know who they are, right? Now, I'm not here for young Philly with an F. That is not a
That's
PH.
What I said.
You didn't specify.
Young
The young also doesn't have an O. So I really don't respect the pronunciation or the spelling of this man's
It's from
name.
across the pond, man.
Off top. So that actually might even be her name, because he might be.
That's GK Barry. GK Barry is the blonde. He's young Philly.
With that being said, man, this is a program that I'm not looking into. I do not think that these lines should be crossed. You need to be dating outside of the gym. Let's just keep that barrier up. I don't want to date anybody in the gym, especially not nobody that's getting butt ass on camera just for the YouTube.
In his defense, he was not butt ass. He was a bodybuilder. So one of her dates that she selected inside the gym was a bodybuilder. He was in a banana hammock. They go on to reveal that later on in the show, and he was working on his posing with her, which is something that does happen in bodybuilding gyms, Kyle. You know, the bodybuilding community.
Or it can happen behind closed doors. My whole thing is this don't gotta be on camera, bro. Like, what would your mom say about this?
He's a bodybuilder, bro. They had to deal with that a long time. Once you make that commitment.
One day we're going to have a real conversation about bodybuilders and how don't nobody want to be black, but everybody on stage is black.
No, they put on that blackface. That's the only place that we allow blackface
That's
to
what
still
I'm
exist.
talking about. All these bronze bodies. Bronze is my natural color, all right? All you Italians out there, nah,
We're going to skip past that.
Nah, I've been
It's
watching
enough
The
out of you.
Sopranos, part of my left, you know?
What do you think about this new flavor of gym programming, though? Outside of what they're doing, it to me is at least fun to see somebody trying to tell a different type of story inside the gym. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely not. Fam, we don't need it. I'm doubling down on that. If you already wasn't going to the gym, a dating show of a bodybuilder getting butt ass is not going to bring you to the gym.
He was not butt ass. I say salute to Gymshark.
I seen there was, anytime you got to put up the censor, I'ma just assume you butt ass. Like,
they did that to make it a little bit more sensational. You know what I mean? They blurred out, they pixelated, but in the show, he just got the banana hammock on. He's making it work.
That's a no for me. What's next?
Shout out to everybody over there at Hit It Off. I hope that series comes on, keeps going.
Hit it off the tee, knock it out the park.
Hey man, listen, if they're allowed to tell stories with brands inside of the gym, I got to champion anybody doing that, because that's exactly where I want to go. Next up, Kyle, in an article from Vogue magazine, a doctor was discussing how you could find the keys to longevity in life. Now, Kyle, the biggest cause of premature aging, according to the world-renowned doctor, is connected to insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance, Kyle, is something that we've talked about a long time on this show. Now, can you remind anybody who might be unfamiliar with what
the
insulin
sugars.
The sugar.
It's the diabetes.
When you have too much starch in your diet, you throw off your insulin response. And apparently a prolonged exposure to that does cause you to actually have all of the different ills that we talk about all the time. That's the cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. All of those things could be linked back to insulin resistance issues. Now, Dr. Mark Heyman is a functional doctor, and he is also putting out the book called Young Forever. Now, in this book, he goes on to detail that even though this insulin resistance is something that will shorten your life, you can hopefully reverse some of those things by changing your diet. You can almost go up to 100% reduction in the opposite direction if you change your behaviors and if you go in the right side of what your consumption is. So cutting down that starch, moving a little bit more, the things that we talk about all the time. What's your thoughts on hearing that is now connected to what people are saying is living young forever?
I'm happy the information is getting out there and that people are hearing this and being exposed to this for the first time if they haven't had that knowledge prior. Additionally, this should just be known knowledge. This should just be something that should be taught in schools a lot earlier than it is. It should be regular conversation at the dinner table with family, ingratiated in whatever your curriculum is of becoming an adult. The fact that it's not is heartbreaking. It's just the reality.
And I don't think it's tongue-in-cheek to say young forever, especially with the advent of what technology is actually doing. So we are seeing a record-breaking number of people getting sick and ill from all of these issues. But on the opposite end, there's some people that are really trying to like make dying like not a thing anymore. There's some people that are really on the deep fringe of science that are like, you know what, we can push this age past 100, 110, 120. And they're really looking at the base level science of what it's going the base level science of what it's going to look like to alter your chemistry to actually have you be young into those 110s and beyond. So young forever might be something that we have to keep an eye on. And I say in the next 10, 15 years, Kyle, it might be a real situation.
I fear that by the time they figure it out, I'm going to be old enough, whereas though I can only be like 50 the rest of my life, so I got to be a solid 50. But like I would love to have been 25 the rest of my life, you know?
I feel like I could be a prime 50, though.
Yeah.
It's not like 50 back in the day.
We saying a lot as if we're going to make it there, because the world's supposed to end on April 8th. I don't know if you know this or not.
I did not know this.
It's supposed to be an eclipse, you know, the whole Y2K thing, Mayan calendar, bird flu.
I told you about being on the other side of the internet.
I'm just letting you know. It's supposed, so, you know, prepare, you know, get your affairs in order.
This is what happens when you get that
cicadas coming back early, all that jazz.
The Hotep science is getting a little too deep over here, man. But speaking of Hotep science, they was on to certain things. Kyle, they've been telling us about this yellow number 5 for years now. I see in my last article that I read this week from Huffington Post was bringing up the question, how worried should we be about artificial food dyes, and what is the actual science behind that? Now, Kyle, for years, people have been speculatively questionable about what artificial dyes are doing, and the research is now starting to ramp back up because we didn't really have conclusive information about it, but some of these dyes were connected to things such as cancer and hyperactivity inside of children. Now, altering the diets inside of children, taking out these dyes, made some of that hyperattentive activity or hyperactivity disorder, the ADHD. Sorry, I'm butchering that word. Some of those dyes were connected directly to hyperactivity in children, and removing those dyes from that have shown to improve kids' actual behavioral patterns. So giving them more natural, non-processed diets have been linked to seeing them have better behavior patterns. So I'm talking about most of my childhood, I've seen colors that you will never find in nature.
Yeah.
The yellow number 5 was the one that we always talked about, but some of them damn...
Just go ahead and throw out there, what's your favorite yellow number 5? What are we talking?
Some of them damn tropical...
like a pineapple soda
That's
or something?
what I was about to say.
Like,
some of them damn tropical fantasies.
Any fruit beverage.
We had all kind of stuff connected to that.
Yeah.
I know that there's a good, out of that 50 that I wanted to get to and stay forever, there's a good 25 that's been shaved off from half of the stuff that I've done in my childhood that we just had no idea about. What's your thoughts about, you know, the potential impact still today in 2024 of food dyes on kids' diets in particular?
If you have 19 whatever after the year you were born, right? For starters, you are old enough to know a world in which there was a lot of artificial stuff, like stuff that we experienced that our grandparents never did, like growing up on fast food, like a McDonald's, and when fast food restaurants were almost intertwined with pop culture. And when a movie was coming out, they had the advertisements at the fast food spot. So when Wild Wild West came out, Burger King had the sunglasses and the CD. Like, it was all intertwined.
I ain't even have to get that far, bro. Quarter waters were like the preferred drink.
I ain't even get to the corner store yet.
That's what I'm saying.
So the corner store, package store, deli, bodega, the lady down the street, the trap house, whatever was in your vicinity, you were a patron of that place. I say all this to say that we've been exposed to that stuff. And now that the wool is over our eyes and we're seeing how bad it actually is, like, of course we should keep children and other generations away from it. But it may be too late for the most of us, is the long-winded rant, is what I'm getting at. Because you grew up on that yellow number 5 and now you can't live without it.
Nah, I definitely can, man.
You make the choice to. A lot of people don't. It's a lot of grown ass men out there still eating, you know, Sour Patch Kids and all types of candy and cookies like they shopping in a deli.
I'm trying to get to that 120, bro. That's gonna be it from my side of this week's Rip from the Headlines. What you got on your end, bro?
I don't want to be 120 years old.
I want to be 50 at 120 though. That's the goal.
Now we talking vampire status, but that's a whole nother.
Vampire in Brooklyn. That was a real thing.
Sliding out of that. But that was actually a good movie, and we're going to revisit that another day. Shout out to Eddie Murphy. He killed that role, man. He don't get enough respect for Vampire in Brooklyn. The soundtrack, everybody, the star-studded cast, it's neither here nor there. Because Evil is good. Now, when you get into what I found good, bad, and ugly this week, I'm going to start off with a harmless prank. In the world of 2024, I feel like there are a lot of pranks where people just be doing too damn much.
I don't think people understand what prank is supposed to mean.
No, because they go into a full-on crime, which then is followed by another crime, which you're going to get these hands. Like, I'm going to whoop your ass, you're going to lose your life.
I was about to say, getting these hands is like the most mild version of that. I've seen TikTokers get straight up shot.
That's how it works
doing
sometimes.
Some wild stuff.
This was brought to my eyes as a harmless prank. Now, being as though it is, a little warm outside, in a lot of cities, it is marathon season. And there was a young man that had a megaphone and was reading up bib numbers of the people running a race and calling out their names as they rode by for encouragement. Like, hey, keep it up, Paul. You're doing great. People that obviously he didn't know, but like, imagine you're on a run, you're running this marathon, and there's some dude yelling your name out in support of you, and you've never seen this dude a day in your life. There was, to say it least, there were definitely some confused faces and folks along the way of trying to understand who the hell this man was calling them out. That's the kind of prank that I'm here for. You know?
I don't think this is not the worst type of TikTok prank to social media on this one. I think they got that right. People are just getting encouraged.
I'm here for the support of the support. You know what I mean? Even if it comes from a stranger, I'll take hey, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm out here.
Bet.
Thank you for noticing me.
You threw me on social. So that was the good that I saw this week. From there, we're gonna get into some bad, right? Now, the bad that I saw, the iPhone finger. Tone, have you heard of this phenomenon?
No.
So I'm going to pass you my phone, and I want you to pay attention to see how you held this phone right here. Mm-hmm. And where does the phone end in this hand?
Down at the pinky side.
Down at the pinky side.
Okay.
And a new phenomenon that has been deemed iPhone finger, in which when you look at your hand, you see a divot in your pinky from holding your iPhone that is not there in your other finger. We have evolved as a species into iPhone finger. Tone, how do you feel about noticing this right now on the mic live in general?
I mean, yeah, there is a divot there. I'm not even gonna lie. This is how I feel it. It's a real thing.
We really have evolved into iPhone finger.
It's better than the iPhone neck, because sometimes, that's a real thing too. Sometimes people, if you're looking down, most of the time, you've seen people have that extra.
The little dinosaur hitch.
You
right
get
there.
the little.
That's like C7.
Because your head is not supposed to
like
be.
T1, T2 right there.
Your head is not supposed to be that far forward. So you develop actual, a fat deposit on the back of your neck. And it offsets the balance because your body is like, yo, why are you bringing your head that far forward and trying to walk at the same time?
It's ugly out here.
I'd rather have the finger than the neck.
iPhone neck is nuts. If you got iPhone neck, you need to do better.
Let's get you on some stretch classes. Kyle, where could they pull up for them stretch classes?
You could come on down to Frequency Movement. That's Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We will be there. We will roll up. We will roll out. We will get our mobility on. Bingo. All right. It brings me to the ugly this week, Tone, and this is the last part that I'll cover. Now, as I was surfing the internet, I came across a conversation about athleisure wear being toxic.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, you got my attention. So I did a little bit of a deep dive in an article that I came across in The Guardian, actually, Tone.
Look at you.
I'm so well read. I know.
You're going to be up to Jezebel next week. I can tell right now.
Slow your roll there, pal. So this article that I came across was titled, Thread Carefully, Your Gym Clothes Could Be Leaching Toxic Chemicals. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to save y'all to read and just give you the footnotes. And basically the idea that in order for your gym clothes and your athleisure clothes to be as elastic as they are, to have as much elasticity, there's plastic that makes that happen. And those chemicals in that plastic is no different than your water bottles, your single cup plastics, and all of those things. It's just kind of single use, I should say. It's just kind of the same material that's weaved into your clothing, and it's seeping into your skin. And obviously it's going to kill us at some point, like everything else in this world, hot dogs, air, shoes,
food dye.
I mean, the list goes on and on. But
cereal.
It's like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. You're telling me that I have to work out 3 to 4 times a week, but then once I work out, I got to be comfortable in my workout, so I got to buy athleisure wear to work out in because I can't do it in regular clothes because I'm going to look crazy or they're going to put me on the internet and make a meme out of me. So now I finally got this athleisure clothes, and now you're telling me that these clothes that I work out in to get myself better could potentially be harming me?
Yeah. It's real. I got to respond to that. First thing, when you talked about athleisure clothes being toxic, that is not where I thought you were going to go.
Okay.
I have some words for some toxic athleisure companies out there.
We talking leggings? What we talking?
I got a couple different words for some toxic athleisure companies, but I'm going to put that on pause for a second.
Okay.
I got to shout out the good sisters over at Celsius, the laundromat out in Williamsburg, because they've been talking about these plastics leaching out into your wash and into your clothes for a long time. So I've known about that for a little bit. And at the same point in time, Kyle, it's not really a whole lot that you can do about it. Because if you think it's just athleisure, if you buy anything that's in the fast fashion kind of side,
polyester was named as a heavy culprit, and anything that's polyester is like, fam, you are in a single-use plastic.
You're talking about most clothes.
Yeah.
Right? So the reality of the situation is to do something that's alternative, you would have to really commit to buying stuff that is potentially a lot more expensive than what you tend to buy.
Of course.
Now, when we get into the economics of it, you buy something more expensive, you get longer usage out of it, you can wash it more times. The single use or the fast fashion kind of versions of athletic gear, when you wash it, it don't treat you the same. You can see when your pants start to beat up a little bit. You can see when, the shirts start to shrink a little bit or whatever is going on. That's part of the leaching and all of the rest of that stuff that's happening with your fabrics and your fashion. So the best way that I could say you could kind of circumvent that a little bit, you got to unfortunately spend a little bit more on the clothes that you need or the clothes that you tend to go towards. And I would say there are some companies that do make organic fabric clothing that is still athleisure. It's just going to come with a bigger price tag.
I did find a list of companies that do such. The amount of those companies being black owned or even marginally supportive of people.
It's a no, my brother.
Of us and our skin color, non-existent.
Yeah.
So that's the ugly that I was in on this week.
It is definitely an issue, but you know what, Kyle? I am hopeful for. This is an early hopeful.
I was about to say, you hopeful for a lot if you swinging this early.
This is an early hopeful. This early hope is going to come by if we can get more people committed to understanding the hemp side of the marijuana industry. There is hope inside of organic fabrics that you can grow. First of all, the weed part of weeds means that it can grow damn near anywhere. Like, you don't need a lot of resources to make this thing grow. And the non-psychoactive components used in clothing right now, because we don't do it at a high enough volume, makes it more expensive. But hemp clothing would be the type of clothing that I'm talking about. That would be wicking. It can get the sweat away from you. It's not going to hold onto or degrade in the washing process. So there's some hope there, man. And New York City is pushing for people to start to grow hemp, man. So I'm hopeful for that part at least.
All right. You got my vote.
Hey,
counselor. Vidal. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners from all type, from near and far, you're now in store to raise your bar. Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
This is my last week revisiting the topic, as I alluded to at the top of the show, and this was the end of trial.
Okay.
The end of the proceedings. Now, faithful listeners of the show will know I have been talking about this, so whenever you hear it, just know that it affected my life drastically.
I can understand.
Now, imagine you got your life going on. We fresh out of Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? You living your best life. I was called in February 28th. In a leap year, which technically means that it would have been the last day of Black History Month, but I got saved the day for leap year because we had a 29th, but technically it was the last day of Black History Month was when I had to serve jury duty.
You making a correlation that I know makes sense to you that I'm very confused about.
How the hell you called me on my day?
I got you.
Nonetheless, I bring that date to the table because trial did not finish until March 20th.
Okay.
That's almost a whole month, bro. It's 3 weeks. March 20th, February 28th. Goddamn, I was in there 9 to 5 and doing the things. And what really opened my eyes was the procedure. Like, fam, I grew up with family that worked in the judicial system. Like I talked about that before, of my privilege of knowing the law, the inner workings, having family give me the language to understand how to navigate this world as a black man, knowing they try and put my black ass in jail for any given reason. Say all that to say, if you don't grow up in that system or go through that system, you don't really know. So it's eye-opening for me to have to, again, go through the metal detector every time I come into a building, or to have to continue to line up like criminals every day in the order of our juror numbers. Hey, line up on the wall. Feels a lot more, I don't even know the word that I want to use. It feels a lot more penitentiary than anything else, if you will. And then when you get into the actual proceedings of everybody got to rise at one time when the judge comes in, and then you got to sit down, and then he gives you an order. And, you know, there's language within this system that if you don't know the language, you're out of the system, right? You get into, we joked about the objectives and the sustain, or all of the Latin that's actually baked into what our laws and legislation looks like when you have words that are derivatives of something else, right? Which is something that you can impact on your own time. I'm not going to go all the way there, but it brought me to the procedure. It also brought me to the jump. Remember, famously, we talked about homie that leaped over the judge's counter. Fam, I was in the courtroom. That's not an easy jump. You get what I'm saying? We need to revisit that brother again and study his fast twitch muscles, because homie out here jumping out the gym. I'm talking he need to be in Olympics, fam, because that is not a small feat. It looked like, revisiting the tape, it looked like he jumped from a trampoline. There's no way.
He hit the Fosbury flop. I told you.
There's no way that you do that without a running start. Like, that was a whole nother thing. But and ending all of this week and the realization of, like, going through this process that you're forced to be in with other people from your city is fucking wild. Like, it was a reality TV show. You know what I mean? Like, and it really get you to thinking about, like, your peers and the people that you live and share this city with. Like, a lot of times we live in a world where everything is so singular to you. Like, it's your own world, but there's so many other moving parts and so many other things that exist outside of you that you have to contribute to meaningfully and hopefully in a fair and impartial manner when it's needed. I bring you to the end of this because, fam, we sent some niggas to jail, bro. Ain't no way around it. You know, the crime was committed, time will be served.
Okay.
You know, and it took me down the line of, like you mentioned before, like being on the opposite side of this, like having the power to decide somebody's fate or at least contribute to it is a real power, right? Now, the other side of this is the day after all of this is done, I am taking care of my car. I'm a motorist in New York City. You know what I'm saying? I had to put some air in my tires. The PSI was a little bit low. So I got my little air machine and I had to remove my license plate cover from the dealership that I got the car from because I don't really fuck with them like that. I ain't want to be giving them no free service, you know what I mean? So I'm like, let me remove this. So I go get my screwdriver and I'm unscrewing my license plate from the back of my car on the block that I live in Brooklyn, that's at the corner of imminent danger and gentrification, as I mentioned before. Faithful listeners will all know this. When I tell you there was a police officer that was slowly riding by in an undercover car, and then he put his car in reverse and came back eye to eye with me as I was taking the license plate off of my car. Now, in this moment, could it be suspicious? You know, I mean, hey, it's a guy fiddling with a license plate in Brooklyn. He's like, yo, you good? Hey, of course I'm good. Are you good? Like, what's up? Like that. The line of questioning wasn't very, what's the word that I'm looking for here? It wasn't open. It wasn't, okay. It wasn't friendly. It was very much like, are you doing a crime? It's like, if I was, you think I would have like like ran or something? Like, fam, like this is my car and this is my block where I live. Did I call you? Like, why are you? You got something to do, bro? Go do that. It was one of those, and it was a very tense conversation. And I don't know if that was because I was fresh out of jury duty for 3 weeks, or if, maybe I could have been overreacting. Who knows what it was? But say all this long-winded rant to take you through this journey of that could have been a negative interaction. That could have very much led to, put your hands on the car, you know what I'm saying, a stop and frisk, whatever the case may be. And I could have very much ended up in this system that I was just assisting with serving for 3 fucking weeks, right? And it was just like, it's never that far. We joked about, everybody being one decision, one maneuver away from being behind bars and incarcerated. Like, your freedom is a very real thing that could be tested at any given moment. And that was the up and down of the week of just that constant reminder. Fam, that was a day later after a 3-week trial. And even the politics of getting into the building as a juror was completely different than the people that are actually going in trial. Like, shit's wild. But this is me ending my trial talk because it's been a long time. It's been, I got 7 years to, not do this again. I also didn't mention I got called for jury duty in Baltimore as well, too. And I got a failure to appear notice. And I had to deal with that because they was going to put a bench warrant out for your boy, man, which was like, I'm like, fam, they was like, yeah, you registered to vote in Baltimore. I said, no, I did not. I haven't lived there at a legal age to vote. I moved when I was 17. Last person I voted for was Obama. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm registered to vote in New York. But it's a very long-winded rant to talk about my week. So, Brother Tom, I bring all of this to you to discuss the things that come into your life that are out of your control, whether it be jury duty, whether it be that phone call with the family, whether it be, friction with the job that you used to have, you looking for, all the above. It throws you off your game, right? How do you personally get back into the game after you've been thrown off from something that was so left field that you have no choice but to succumb to it?
The first thing I look to do when I'm thrown off by something that is out of my circumstances is try to find a place to ground and just regain my appraisal of where I am in the midst of whatever confusion is happening. Although I can't control the circumstances that are going on, I could check in with myself and I could try to understand, what am I feeling? Where do I need to move and how do I need to navigate? And that ultimately is going to be the best way to really find your way through any kind of storm. So, and that's all relative to the level of turbulence that you're facing at any particular point in time. Some things are obviously harder than others. I feel, particularly for me, the family side of the situations are the ones that are a little bit more difficult to understand how to navigate and find your anchor. But it really does come down to all of the things that we talk about in this wellness practice. The practice starts when the turbulence is the worst. And it's, okay, where do I need to call back in any of these tools that I know that I have access to? I have to first start taking a breath. Okay, let me assess the situation. Let me see what's going on. And let me start to layer in some of the things that I know are beneficial to me just to get to a regular state, and then start to apply those things to whatever the problem is. So it's like, how do I get my homeostasis? How do I get my thing that's going to make me feel at least some kind of normal? And then let me address the biggest fire at a time. Often it is kind of like a triage situation. You can't save everybody and you can't address every single problem, but you do have to address the problems that are the biggest at the right time. If you do it out of sequence, you end up losing the whole situation. So I think that's typically what the approach looks like. And it is going back and calling in on all of the different skill sets that, really do push us in the right direction.
I couldn't agree more. I think there is very much a level of swiftness that has to be taken in order to get you onto the right track, or you will end up, getting lost in the sauce, getting caught up in that storm like you mentioned. So the triage, the priority is a very real gem that I hope the people picked up as you just dropped it on them. You know what I'm saying?
And it does go back to, once you do realize that you are out of control, another thing, asking for help. Like, that's always there. It's always the like, in case of emergency, hit this red button that so many people never really tend to hit.
A lot of people are scared of that button.
Why, though? And we need to destigmatize that when it's like...
Because it's stigmatized.
But, like, let's unpack that, right? So what's the stigma around asking for help when you are in a
You're
position...
vulnerable. You weak. You hoe-ass nigga. You know what I'm saying?
And if you're walking into it with that mentality, that's also going to be part of the reason why
how do you
can't get the help.
unpack that if that's all you know? If that is what was taught to you as a child, if no one in your immediate family knew how to ask for help, where do you find that ability?
There's a bunch of stuff that you pick up from people that are not in your immediate family. You know, and if you want to actually move towards what you can identify as better, once you identify what better is, you have to start to make decisions that actually progressively move you into that direction. There's a gradient for everything, right? If you're literally in a position where I just got hit by something blindsided and I'm trying to take care of one thing, but I know I'm just not going to take care of this because I got all this other stuff going on. That's why you build the communities that you have around you. That's why you have friend groups. That's why you have a family. And if you don't have any of that, like, you being the person that you are, create the stewardship with the people that surround you. I'm sure somebody would be around to give help if you learned how to voice that. And that's a bigger question.
I think that's the exact question is, if you don't have the language and you don't know how to articulate for yourself, let alone for what you need, one, how can you be that person? How can you do that? Two, the other part being, you just said the community would be there to support you. If you aren't doing that for your community already, right? If you're not helping out others when they need it without them asking you, then how can you find a community that can be, you know, reciprocal in that same nature if you don't have those two things?
I think it starts with intentionality. You have to be intentional about forming that. You have to be intentional about being the type of person that wants to be there for people that you care about. You know, it's empathetically leading to the energy that you want to have in return. You know, letting all of your acts be the things that actually come back towards you. And if you walk around and you are a person of merit in most places and still are suffering at the end of the day, that's the issue that I'm talking about. If you don't have anybody else, well, we got a whole lot of other issues that we got to focus on and build and correct before we even get there. Like, how do you become an intricate member of the society that you're building, that you're framing around you, and then have the confidence that because you show up how you are, the people who are around you, who gravitate around you and who will do whatever for you, trust in that, you know, and it's a two-way street. You know, it's got to be something that ultimately at the end of the day, you don't know it until you ask for it, what you're going to get back in return, but you also have to have the confidence to make the ask.
And that's what we're going to stop it right there, man. The confidence to make the ask is very real, and it is a skill. I don't want people to think that it's not hard, that it isn't difficult. It requires you to step outside of your comfort zone majority of the time. So it is something to work towards. And if you don't have it, that's all right. You can build up to it. You know?
And I only bring it back because I wanted to go volley that, because this is part of what the work looks like to try to clean that shit up for people to come after. If we're not doing that work, then what are we doing right here, you know?
We ain't doing shit.
You know it.
So we're going to slide out of that and slide into some relaxing responsibly. Brother Tone, you want to let the folks know how you were relaxing?
Yo, on some real, Kyle, I think my most relaxing peak of the week, it has to go back to that same sipping some tea inside that fancy little car company that we can't drop just yet, but hopefully we can drop one day sooner.
Yeah.
The transition from going outside of that Sunday into just kicking back and talking to the people inside of, again, that friendly little watering hole, and seeing how people in Brooklyn really do react to us when we actually show up in spaces is something that is ultimately relaxing. It speaks to the communities that we build unintentionally. I don't go into those spaces with like an agenda. Yo, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to go. We all got something that we want to do in life. And if we all are ambitious, you know, being around people that have that same ambition and that same energy is going to pull people towards you, you know? So seeing that kind of stuff and, you know, really being anchored around the reinforcement that comes from that naturally, that's ultimately the best part of relaxation, because it's, yo, my tribe is here, bro. anytime we need it, hey man, yo, walk up to you outside. Don't even see you pulling up to their spot. Yo, you coming in, right? You better be coming in, because I'm be upset if you don't.
Of course.
Yo, you got to try my new sauce, bro. Like, what's up? You want some off-menu shit? We got you. Don't even worry about it.
That part.
And then making other people gravitate around and pull up. And like, yo, y'all in here? All right, we got to pull up in here. We got to see what's going on, man. The vibe. Attracting the tribe is a real relaxation situation, man.
I echo that same sentiment, brother. Like, that's a real thing. I'm telling you, it's a frequency, bro. You got a frequency movement. Saturdays, 10 a.m. That's where you get your yoga on. But frequency is what allows people to meet you at that level, right? Y'all, you meet on the same playing field, and you're able to, be in community with one another. So that's beautiful. I appreciate that, man. My relaxation happened. Two things happened that we'll note. Doubling back down, tripling back down on court. My dumbass went into the jury selection process with my organic thug on, thinking that, oh yeah, they're not gonna pick me because of this. This is too brash. Like, they don't want an organic thug on the jury. Unbeknownst to me, that is probably one of the reasons that they picked me, because the judge himself and the court clerk after the whole trial came into the juror's room and said, hey man, that organic thug, that is nice. Well, that was the highlight of our week. Is that your brand? Do you sell that? Yes, I do. UNDNYC.com. That's where you can buy your organic thug products at, Brother Tone.
That's what's up, yo.
That's just me plugging myself. So that was number one.
You got organic thug judge robes coming out soon?
I got the robes coming out. We got the keyboard and the mouse set up for you, you know what I'm saying? So you could organic click your way through.
You got the organic thug stenographer outfit?
No, we don't. We stopped that before it even started. So the second way that I was relaxing responsibly this week, man, was I got a chance to be a part of a welcoming party for a company that I'm going to be working with. Shout out to them. Shout out to the folks over at Wise Up. And when you are an adult and the welcoming party, it hits a little different after the pandemic in the world that we live in present day, because this is a room full of professionals in a lot of different disciplines. And then there's an open bar. So, when that liquid courage is out with the finger food, mind you, I gave up open that food a long time ago. So I don't even go that route. I just drink. But you start to read into different people as you're working this room. Like, I'm waiting in line. You notice the folks that's getting the non-alcoholic drinks. You know what I'm saying? You notice the dude is like, yo,
let me get 2 doubles.
Let me get the double
right now.
I need that. And you start to observe humans in their natural element, if you will. What's more natural than, open drinks and food in New York? That just seems to be par for the course. I say all this to say that the party was nice because it did allow people to meet that are going to be working together in their own realm, in their own way. So it was good to, be rubbing shoulders. Mixing and mingle with folks. Not in the gym, because I refuse the gym date bullshit, so not that. But
you're not trying to hit it off.
I don't want to hit it off with nobody at all. Hit it off with myself. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds like a whole different type of party.
Listen, I ain't got no time for none of your foolishness, Tone, but it sounds like you're hopeful for something out there, because I don't know anything else that you're talking about. I can't pick up what you're putting down, bro.
Man, I am hopeful, Kyle, that we continue to bless these good people with, the best wellness information coming forward next week and into the weeks ahead, especially as we start to transition into these spring-like days, man. There's, again, a lot of more people are starting to do some outdoor workouts when we do have that time. I really do want to bless somebody with, the off-the-strength outdoor experience soon. So I'm hopeful that we can really touch down with the folks and let them see what that's going to look like.
The Forest Bathing Negroes.
You understand?
My hopeful is to get into all this new music that came out. Tom.
Okay. It's been a lot.
It's been a lot that dropped. Sir put out a new album.
Yeah.
You got Tierra Whack's album that just dropped.
Also out.
There's the Future and Metro Boomin album with the Kendrick dish that just came, I witnessed the brief tangent on this. You ever think about how we digest music present day, right? It's completely different than when you had to buy a CD and play it in a car, or like when there was something new out, like it would be playing everywhere, or like you would have to go and put aside time to listen to this new thing.
Yeah.
When Kendrick drops this verse, the conversation started. Yo, K-Dot dropped the blah, 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 to the point where somebody was like, no, you got to hear this. Pulled it up on their phone and like put the phone in your ear so you can hear. It's like, that's not the optimal listening experience. I thought we were past that as a society, but we are. So apparently if your verse is hot enough, somebody is still going to put the phone to your ear so you can hear it right then and there and get caught up in the conversation.
It's got to be the right person. I think that's more than anything else. It doesn't matter how hot the verse is. The fact that you said when Kendrick dropped a verse and he's not the person that put out the album,
I hear you,
settles the whole argument right there.
This is also true.
It's like, yo, Kendrick dropped a verse. It was like, no. This was on a whole formulated
this is
album.
A body of work.
Yes. From two other artists.
We're talking about
nothing else to do with this person.
But he's top 3 and not 3 is what he's saying.
It's big him. That's it, man. That's it, bro. Brother Jones, you got anything else you want to bless the people with this week?
Wash your hands. It's still cold and flu season.
It's still out there.
It's still out there. Like, COVID didn't die. We just thought it did in our imagination.
Now that we starting to see some prolonged experiences with long COVID. FDA just cleared out this week a treatment for people who are immunocompromised from long COVID. We gonna go into, again, the 5 and 10 year out after this mark at some point. And we're gonna figure out why some of these things are happening, but we're not gonna get shut down on this week's episode of Off the Stream. We're gonna have another call. Call back at a different date, man. You know, I got to shout out to the good folks over at Newsstand Studios, Brother Jones. If they wanted to touch in with us at Newsstand Studios, live on the block of the Rock, where could they touch down with us?
Man, if you're in the greatest city in the world, that is New York City, you come on down to Rockefeller Center and you can see us recording live at Newsstand Studios. If you can't make it in, you could always visit Instagram at Rockefeller Center or Twitter at Rock Center NYC.
That's right, folks. And again, we are brought to you in part by the good folks at Newsstand Studios. We are also being produced by the good brother Brian Perkins and the I Did That Productions. Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength. I'm a trainer called Tony.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love out there to y'all. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace. What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.